Namaste everyone. Welcome to the 21st session of Advaita Aparokshanubhuti, which Bindoji has been offering in this house, Advaita Vedanta Satsang. All the previous sessions are available. You can check out the replays in Clubhouse, or you can go to the YouTube channel, which is pasted in the chat, Advaita Retold, where it's been cataloged quite well. And for reference, Bindoji is using two different texts, but the text pasted up has a translation. It's from Swami Vimuktananda, but it's just a translation to English. And the other one is just Sanskrit text based on Acharya Vidyāraṇya's contributions. But this particular series is Bindoji's kind of own interpretation so that we get a better translation in English. And for housekeeping purposes, since we are all familiar with it, I'll shorten it. I'll close down the chat. I'll close the hand raising and I'll reopen it after about an hour when Bindoji ends the class or session. And then we can have some time for Q&A if there's somebody interested. And with that, Bindoji, over to you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste, Hari Om, and welcome to all of you. Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bādarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmiti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavavyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Upadeshtaram Ishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. In the last class, we did the 49th verse, which is Brahmanas sarvabhutani jayante paramatmanaha tasmat edani brahmaiva bhavantityavadharayet. So in the class that it is that if all things, beings are arising from Brahman, how do we know that, or how is it to be understood? It is that Brahman, the word signifies that Bṛhad means limitless, and it is Aparichinna, means indivisible. That the nature of Brahman is that it cannot be divided. The consciousness or the awareness or the Chaitanya, the Satchidananda Rūpa, that is what is referred by Brahman. And Ananta is the indicator of limitless or the expansive nature of consciousness or awareness. And being uniform and the same all the time, for all those who are accessing it, it is indivisible, therefore aparichinna. From that nature of Supreme Self, which is Brahman, all beings are born, which includes sustenance and dissolution. Born means it is not in a way in which we discussed it, that it is not born out like the birth which we are familiar with, either, the worms, etc., or the birds, etc., or the tree, or even the mammals. So it is not a creation or birth like that, but it is a appearance, like how dream is appearing for us in our experience. It is awareness as the nature. So in awareness, when it is born, doesn't become something other than awareness or consciousness. Therefore, it is like that the experience of, otherness is what is called the term called born, birth here. And it can sustain only as long as awareness is there. When the dream is finishing, we lose the awareness of the dream. Therefore, the awareness is supposed to be sustaining the dream. And where does the dream world and the dreamer, etc., dissolve or dissolution? They appeared from the awareness consciousness, so they dissolve back into that. This is exactly what the Taittiriya Upanishad 3.1 is also mentioning, that Ito va imani bhutani jayanti yena jatani jivanti yat pravityavisham vishanti iti. From all beings which are born, by which they live or sustained, and into which they all dissolve or dissolution taking place, that is Brahman. This is the definition in the Taittiriya Upanishad, which is being referred here. Therefore, all beings from the subtlest to the grossest in the essence are nothing but Brahman. Like the entire field of experience of the dream was nothing but the consciousness in which the dreamer, the dream world and everything appeared. They sustained in the dream world and dissolved in it. So same is the case with the waking or the feeling of the individuality we on the experiences of the objects for us, the world. This is exactly what is being explained in the verse next, which is coming up in the 50th verse, which is starting today. It says that Brahmaiva sarva nāmani rūpani vividāni ca karmanyapi samagrani vivarti iti śrutir gajrjau. Brahma, this Brahman, eva is indeed sarva nāmani, in the name, in all names, is all names or all verbal references are to Brahman. Vividāni rūpāni, and the multiplicity which we experience in the forms of, all the sensory inputs like touch, vision, sound, taste, etc. All of them, that is what is called the rūpāni. Rūpāni means it doesn't mean physical forms. It is in all nature of sensual experiences is what is the word rūpāni should be taken here as. Just samagrani karmani. And the activities which for each of these sensory inputs which we are seeing, like the movement seen by the vision, the waves of the sound which is being heard, the modulations, etc., the taste, different tastes. These are all called the karmani here, the samagrani karmani. Vivarti. Actually, the word vivarti means it is sustains or in the form of remaining in the without being separated out. Now, sustain is a word in English which means that it remains in something. Like, the movie is sustained on the screen. If the screen is not there, the movie cannot be seen. Same way, it is in the awareness or the consciousness, which is Brahman. All these names and forms and activity is appearing. And in that if the awareness is not there, which can never be there, even when we do not have the multiplicity or the names and forms, the awareness is still there. This is what the śruti also says. That means in the Upanishad also it is the same thing what is being referred to here. Now, if you look at the given explanation by Vidyāranya is that nanu nāna nāma rūpa karma bhedena vijitrani bhutani kadam brahmatmakani iti ashankyaha brahmaiva iti. Nanu means in case, or if you are having a doubt. Nana nama rūpa karma bhedena. Nana means multiplicity, or in the multiple names. Nāma means names, rūpa means forms, karma means activities. Bhedena. That means that is where the multiplicity is appearing. The multiplicity is because of the names, forms and actions. But is the multiplicity a reality? We have to analyze that. When we do not know the reality, the multiplicity is assumed to be real. Like a child or a person who is not able to identify movie as a movie which is happening on a screen will appear to be real to them. Especially people like, young children, and they will feel the ghost or the cartoon, what they are watching in a TV. For them, those are all real objects existing in reality. That is why the toys, etc., which we see in the market like that, they are able to relate to that. It is due to lack of analysis. Same way here, nana, nama, rūpa, karma, bhedena means when the different names, forms and the actions, when we are watching or experiencing in the world, we are like children who are taking these worlds of name, forms and actions as reality. Vijitrani bhutani. That is the Vijitrani means diverse. Creation, diverse appearances of the multiplicity seems to have been created. Kadam brahmatmakani, how can this be of the nature of Brahman? Is the question. Brahmaiva. How is it Brahma alone? Trayam va idam nama rūpa karmam iti Bṛhadāraṇyaka śruti jagau. Trayam va idam. This indeed is threefold. Trayam means three forms. This Brahman is now appearing to be threefold. Nāma, rūpa, karma. The names, forms and actions. Now, we may think that the names are different from the forms are different from the actions. But if you really analyze them, these three are interdependent and they are together dependent on our consciousness or awareness. So there is no independent existence for them, even though transactionally we can deal with them independently. They do not, by nature of their own existence, they are nothing but awareness, which is in the form of name, awareness, which is in the form of the different aspects of the sensory inputs, like the visual, sound, touch, taste, etc. And karma is the mobility or the movement which we see of these names and forms. But they are also in the experience because of the awareness. This is what the Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upaniṣad also is talking about. Gayanam kritavanti sva adhikarinaha Shravayamasa ityartaha. That this, what is being taught by this Bṛhadāraṇyaka verse, is being taught to the students. Adhikarinaha means those who are well qualified. Talking this to people who are not interested to know the reality is of no nothing. For them, they will all say this is all blabbering. We have no idea what you are talking about, etc. So only people who are interested to know about our own nature, our reality of truth, those who are in search of truth, only for them it matters. Kim ityaha brahma eva sarva nāmani ākāśādi dehantan samjñā visheshancha. What does it mean? Kim ityaha brahma eva. These are all nothing but consciousness or Brahman alone. Sarva nāmani, in the names, all forms. Ākāśādi dehantan means from the ether or from the space to the physicality of objects. They are nothing but samjñā visheshan. They are nothing but specific designations depending upon the name, form or activity. Like the pot, tree, man, etc. as the names, and then their adjectives of these names, which is in the measures by the sensory inputs, like he's a blue bird, or he's a tall man, or he's a stout man, or it is a tasty fruit, etc. All of them are designations, nothing but designations based on the sensory inputs which we are measuring our own awareness. These awareness are measured by our sensory inputs, but when we are using, or when we are in awareness, we are awareness, the input is awareness, and the measurement is also experience, which is also nothing but awareness. But then we divide them into, as I am the subject, that one which is being experienced is the object, and the act of experiencing and the karmani is the activity by us. This division by us is the reason why we feel the multiplicity of the world is existing, or multiplicity of awareness itself as multiple. Puna vividani rūpani, again into different forms. Api shabdam artham cha. Not only that, the sound, etc. Samagrani karmani ākāśāt pradhan ādīni snāna shaucha ādīn kriya visheshan api vivarti. Samagrani karmani, the activities which are being seen in the objects, like giving space. Actually, space doesn't give anything space. It appears inside the space. But then we feel that the space is being moved or transformed into storage, etc. But the space doesn't really, in fact, doesn't go through any change. Snāna shauchādīn, like the activities like the bathing, cleaning, etc., which is being done, they are all awareness or consciousness or experiences in awareness, which are now being called by different names or activities. So these activities, because of their different names, appears to be separate, but they are nothing but experiences of awareness. Kriya visheshan api vivarti. How? Rajjuādikam iva sarpidi pratibhāsam dadāti adhisthāna darshan shunyan prati darshayati ityartha. Rajjuādikam iva, like the rope, etc. We have heard that example of the rope, of the rope as becoming a snake, etc. Sarpadi pratibhāsam dadāti. It is giving rise to the appearance of the snake. It doesn't become the snake. All the three times, the snake is not a reality. It is the rope. What is the absolute reality? Rope was there, rope is there, and rope will be there in all the three times. But in between, when we do not know the rope, the nature of the reality of the substratum of the rope, the snake is appearing there. The same is the case when we do not know the awareness or the nature that I am awareness. The objects are nothing but awareness. Just as I am an object, for somebody else. Every object is also not the same awareness like me who is knowing. And in that awareness, we are now bringing in names, forms, and actions to segregate between the subject and object and activity. All these things are dependent upon the substratum, which is consciousness or awareness or Brahman. And when we do not know that, just as when we do not know the rope appears to be the snake, the same way when we do not know the reality that I am awareness, I am pure consciousness awareness, then I become a subject. And the same way, everything which is being experienced by me, which is nothing but awareness, is now being transmitted as activities by experiencing, means experiencing vision, experiencing touch, experiencing taste, etc. All these experiences, which are nothing but awareness itself, is now separated out because we do not know the nature of awareness. And the objects which have these qualities of vision, taste, smell, touch, etc. are also having different names and forms. Therefore, we call it as, they are all artha, means objects. This is how the experience is nothing but awareness is being referred to here. In the next verse, Suvarna Jayamanasya Suvarnatvam cha Shashwatam Brahmano Jayamanasya Brahmatvam cha Tada Bhavet. Yada, just as Suvarnat Jayamanasya, whatever is being produced out of gold, Suvarnatvam, the nature of the gold or the nature of the substratum, cha Shashwatam, it is permanent. You cannot destroy the substratum even when the gold, even when it is becoming the ornament. What is changing is the name and the form of the gold, either as a lump or a bar, which now becomes the bracelet, the ring, the tiara, etc. That is why it is the Savarnatvam is Shashwatam. The nature of the substratum or the gold is Shashwatam. So from the gold, whenever anything is produced in the form of ornaments, the gold, the nature of gold or the goldness doesn't go through any change. Same way, Brahmano Jayamanasya Brahmatvam cha Tada Bhavet. Whatever is coming up in awareness is also similar. It doesn't become in the object of name, form and activity as separate from awareness, because they are all born out of consciousness or awareness. Therefore, they are all nothing but same thing. What is the substratum? That is the consciousness and awareness. This is similar to the explanation given in the previous verse also, which is that Brahma alone is the reality. That is what is now becoming the subject and the object and the activity between them. So, Suvarna Jayamanasya. So this, we discussed that thing. What is just as the essential nature of gold remains unchanged and eternal in spite of they becoming the ornaments whenever is produced out of it. So too, the essential nature of Brahman or the consciousness awareness is remaining unaltered without becoming the object and subject, etc. in everything that arises in awareness. This is the Vivarta doctrine, or what is called the superimposed by the appearance. And this is what is the term called adhyasa also is used for. Adhyasa means superimposition. The names, forms and activity is being superimposed on awareness to become an object or a subject and the activity between them. So, in reality, the nature of consciousness or awareness never undergoes any change, even when the experiences are happening to us. This is exactly what is being told by the Kenopanishad mantra, where it is said, Pratibodhabititam matam amrutatva hivyantate. So that pratibodham, every momentary experience, what we call it as sensory inputs or activities, it is in awareness. There is nothing outside awareness which can be. Therefore, their underlying reality is nothing but that Brahman consciousness or awareness. Now the verse after that is Swalpamapyantaram krutva jivatma paramatmanoh yah santishtati mūdatma bhayam tasya abhibhashitam. Yaha, one who. Mūdatma means ignorant of the reality. He may be even the person with the highest IQ in the world, but as far as he has no idea about the reality of his own reality, what he is, or what his experiences are depending upon, or what the object is, such a person is called a Mūdatma. Jivatma Paramatmano Swalpam Antaram Krutva. By differentiating the individuality and the substratum, which is the Paramatma, or that is Jivatma, means the individual nature of my nature, your nature, etc. And that difference, it is not what you call bad or impossible for the awareness to appearing to become the individual self. But when the differentiation is taken as real by us, that my nature is individual, I am an egoistic person with a limited body, mind, intellectual conditions and limited, I am becoming a limited individual. This limited nature is because I am restricting myself by becoming a individual, using my mind in the world as the subject and object. And when such a phenomenon is happening, I am naturally getting afraid of otherness. Anything other than me is a probable threat to me. It can, affect me, affect my nature, is what is being felt by me when I do not know my true nature. Therefore, bhayam, the fear which we all feel in our natural mental level, is because antaram krutva, we are making a differentiation between the awareness and the individuality. This is what the Taittiriya Upanishad says. Tasya udaravantaram gurute adatasya bhayam bhavati. This is what is being referred by this verse, which we saw that now. Evam kartru karma adi karaka gadasya eka adhisthāna rūpatve siddhe api bheda darshinaha bhayam aha swalpiti. Even though it is established that all constituents, like the kartra, karma, adi, karaka. That is that subject, object, and other relationship between the karma, karta and karma, that is grammatical instruments, etc., are all modification of one substratum. Adhisthāna rūpatve siddheyapi. We know that they are all nothing but the nature of Atman or Brahman or consciousness. Veda darshinaha bhayam aha. For a person who is not able to understand this, he is afraid of the consciousness or awareness which is there in his every momentary experience. His own nature is that. Not only his own nature is that, his transaction is also based on that. Swalpamapi antaram upasya upasaka rūpam vedam gritva kalpayitva yaha tishtati tasya bhayam bhashiram. So, swalpamapi antaram, even the slightest deviation, imagine between the upasya upadaka rūpam vedam kritva kalpayitva. That upasya upasaka, that is, I am the worshipper, and the idol, which is representation of the God, is the worshipped one. Here, this is being brought in here mainly to take on the dualists who oppose the Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. That is, the individual and the supreme are one and the same. That they can never accept, because they consider themselves as upasaka of the nature of awareness, which is upasya. Therefore, they say that can never be the same. But Advaita says that if somebody does that division, slighted division of this nature, fear arises of such division, and the person will be subject to the vagaries of this separation. Yada hi eva esha etasmin udaramantaram kurute ata tasya bhayam bhavati. Taittiriya Upanishad, we saw this mantra. When indeed this one makes even the slightest distinction in this Brahman, then fear arises for him. So, quoting this Taittiriya Upanishad is proven that we have no need to be afraid of anything in this world, because we are not the physical individuality. Therefore, the feeling of which we are facing when our transaction is due to the misapprehension of non-apprehension of the reality. So, in this, the fear is unwarranted, it is the same. The Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upanishad also talks about this yada eva esha etasmin udaramantaram kurute ata tasya bhayam bhavati. It is appearing in Taittiriya as well as in Bṛhadāraṇyaka, both the places. A true fearless person only can absolutely be in a non-dual state. And the person who is in a non-dual state person is synonymous with the fearless person. The fearlessness is not due to his power or might or any other reason. He doesn't differentiate between himself and the other things. There is only one word, the otherness. If anybody is maintaining that in any of his transaction, then there is this chance of fear from the otherness. Yatra, next verse is Yatra jnana jnana abheda. No, what is this? Yatra ajnanat bhaved dvaitam itaraha tatra pashyati. Itaras tatra pashyati. Atma tvena sada sarve ne na itaras tatra cha anuapi. So here, what does it say? Yatra ajnanat dvaitam bhaved. Wherever or when there is duality due to ignorance, tatra, in such conditions or in such place, idaram pashyati, the otherness is seen by such people because of the duality, ajnanat, due to the ignorance. Yada sarvam atmatvena bhavet tatra idaram cha pashyati anuapi. Where that approach of separatedness is not seen or not practiced by anyone else, for such a person, even an iota of separation is not there. So he has absolute non-duality as his experience when he is seeing that the substratum and in which the world is appearing in the dreams, the world is appearing in the waking, and the world of absence, the world being absent in the deep sleep is also being felt. And such a person, there is no fear for the otherness. He doesn't fear, or he is absolutely a fearless person. Yasmin sarvani bhutani hi atmatvena vijanataha navai tasya bhayavet mohaha nacha shokat dvitiyataha. Yasmin, in which condition or in which or when, sarvani bhutani, all the creations or all the experiences of the subject and object, atmatvena vijanataha, in the very explicatively, if one can know it as himself, atmatvena, or his nature as the supreme being, the consciousness with which we are all appearing. Na vai mohaha nacha tokaha bhavet adhyutiyataha. So, for such a person, there is neither a delusion nor there sorrow. See, the delusion and sorrow are products of separatedness from us. We are deluded from something because we do not see it as our own nature. And when we are having that separatedness, then there is a desire to possess that, aggrandize that, or in the case of a failure for aggrandizing or possessing that, we get into a sorrow, a state of, despair or dependency in that case. Ayam atma hi brahmaiva sarvatmakataya stitaha iti nirdharitam śrutya Bṛhadāraṇya samsthāya. Ayam atma sarvatmakataya stitaha. This Atman, this self in me, is the self of all, that sarvatma bhava. And that is indeed Brahma eva iti śrutya Bṛhadāraṇya samsthāya nirdharitam. So the Bṛhadāraṇya Upanishad is declaring that consciousness or the awareness is the only truth, and that is what is being experienced as the self in you and the objects of the world. Therefore, there is no way in which we can think of a separation between us two. Nanu prakasha tamaso iva paraspara viruddha swabhavayoho dvaidva advadayoho kuta eka adhikaranatvam iti ashankya avastha bhedadityaha. Now, in the case of light and darkness, they are mutually opposed. So too are the duality. Duality in the sense that wherever the subject and object experience is being felt, there it is just like light and darkness. We are supposed to be mutually opposed to that. If that is the case, they share the same substratum. If my existence is known to me, is an awareness to me, the experience is to me, I am also experiencing the existence of the object. That experience also is awareness or knowledge or consciousness to me. Therefore, how can I differentiate the world of objects as separate from me? Avastha Vedat Ityaha Yatra Iti Tatra Yasyam Ajnana Avasthayam Ajnanena Dvaitamiva Bhavet Tatra Tatsya Ajnana Avasthayam Itara Anyat Pashyati Yatra Ihi Dvaitamiva Bhavati Tada Itaram Pashyati Ityat Shrutehe. All these things, all the Shrutis, whether it is Taittiriya Upanishad or Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upanishad or any other Upanishad, the core essence is the same. All the cause of our problems of life is due to the sense of separation we are maintaining with the subject and object. And this has been due to the ignorance of the nature of our own reality. And that is the only reason why we are having this ajnana or the avastha vityasam. Avastha vityasam means the nature of separatedness between the subject and the object. That is due to the ignorance of not knowing our own true nature. And therefore, we are seeing the separateness, and wherever there is separateness, we will have the chances of fear, etc. Yatrava anyat iva syat tatra anyat pasyet ayanya anyat jigret anyat rasanet ityadi. All the sensory organs are confusing us to such an extent that we are forced to believe that there is otherness. Because I am seeing otherness, I am hearing otherness, I am tasting otherness. Therefore, what is the reason why we are, because of our knowledge is based on the mind and the sense organs. Paranchikani vidranat swayambhu tasmat parang pasyadina andaratman. Turned outward, parang pasyati. Parang pasyati na andaratman. We do not see our true nature. So what happens? We are looking outward, parang pasyati. Kaschidhira pratyagatmanam aichit. One intelligent person who did the analysis of the nature of objects and the nature of the self, who has found out that he saw the reality in himself, that I am everything, that sarvatma bhava, that I am not separate from the world of objects. They are also depending upon the awareness for their own existence, just as I am existing because I am aware of my existence. And when my existence is not there as individuality, the ego existence, I am not experiencing myself subject, and nor I am experiencing the object, the world of objects outside. So the individuality, which is the reason for the separation, the existence of that is depend upon the same awareness. The ego or the individuality has no independent existence. Only because it is depending upon the sense organs which is turned outward, the individuality feels I am the subject separate from the objects. But the very individuality is built on awareness. And that awareness is nothing but the mind, which is the reason why I am the limited individual feeling comes to us from that limitation of the dependency on the sensory organs. Therefore, which separates me from the world of objects. That is the reason why we always get into the problem of, the subject-object problem and the consequences of this separation. The one who can differentiate this is a creation of not knowing my nature, but a creation of the individuality or the ego, which is in me playing this role of subject and object due to the dependency on the sensory organs. Therefore, the world is being seen as separate. I am seen as the world subject who is knowing the world. And that is the reason why the otherness is being felt. And Advaita is categorically denying that there is any separation, because Sarvam Khaluidam Brahma, everything is indeed Brahman. This is the reason why that Atma or Brahman is seen as separate due to ignorance. The one who knows, for him, the Atma and the Brahman, the Jivatma, Paramatma are not two separate. And they were his ekatvam anupashyataha. He sees the oneness. Neha nanasti kinjana. He doesn't see the multiplicity here. He sees only one and the only nature of awareness. We'll stop here. We'll take from the Anubhuto ayam, abanubhuto apyayam loke, Vivarta apitsan, asadrupo yada sapne, uttarashana bhadataha. This verse number 56 onwards, we'll take it in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Hari Om, Bindoji. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've opened up the chat and the hand raising. So if Bindoji has, some time to spend answering some questions or any discussion points, if you have, the hand raising is open.
Namaste, Jesse.
Namaskar, Bindo and Prakashan. Hello, everyone. You did such a beautiful job. My heart just opened when you spoke about the fearlessness. Oh my goodness, this is such a big lesson for me personally at this time in my life. This is like, as we say, this is the lessons that are coming before my face. And I love it. And so in that idea of fear is only caused by distinguishing and seeing others as separate from Atma Brahman, then one of my questions is in the play of that, is that probably why I love like adventure sports? because, because that sense of, I am not afraid I'm going to jump off this cliff. I'm not afraid I'm going to ski fast down this hill. I'm not afraid I'm going to jump out of this plane. I think that I have just identified my interest in that kind of extreme sports as being linked or threaded somehow in the tapestry of recognizing that fearlessness is not being able to see other, which is being able to see unity, which is why I like to jump off things. So I just wanted to thank you, and it just really resonated with me very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Absolutely right. In all these adventure sports, whether it is paragliding or jumping or, the rope, jumping from a cliff with a rope and deep cliff diving to the ocean, or even for that matter, the giant wheel or the roller coaster, etc., are the time when we forget about the multiplicity. I'm not saying that we are forgetting ourselves. We can never forget ourselves because we are always we are. But we don't remember us as individuals, but we also forget about the otherness at that time. And the mind becomes blank for a moment of not having the otherness, including our own existence in relation with otherness. That is a state of what we call as numbing the mind in the technical terms. But the numbing the mind by these adventure sports are physical activities. But what really happening is that the ego or the individuality is experiencing the non-duality at that time. But we do not know, we don't call it as a state of non-dual experience. But really speaking, that is what each one of us are undergoing when it is happening. When the deep dive, for a fraction of a second, the fear that I am an individual, I am going to die, that is gone. And then when you go down the cliff or from the rope, what you are experiencing is absolute non-duality. You don't see the surroundings, you don't see anything. You're closing your eyes and you are feeling just that you are all alone and you are only the one which is existing. That is what the feeling is when you are doing such an activity. You are absolutely right.
And there is such a joy and expansion and vastness of being for me that is accompanied in that experience. And so as I age, I am humbly seeking, or not seeking, but I'm humbly welcoming those experiences without having to jump off cliffs and, do helicopters off of moguls, etc. So, but that idea of the release is really beautiful. And so for me, in the last year, in listening to you, right, through the Taittiriya and through the Aparokshanubhuti and others, the idea that one of the definitions of enlightenment is fearlessness because no other and no separation is seen. I've been in a practice of asking myself questions about denial of the divine. Is there any place in my heart, my mind, my emotions, my field, my body, or energy where I am keeping something, someone, or anything outside of that unity? And it's been super helpful for me. So please know, dear kind Binduji, that your teachings are blossoming and are very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Anybody else? Any questions? not, we can wind up. Then Monday also we will continue with Aparokshanubhuti only. And we'll see how many people are taking place, and if I feel that, it need to be converted into an, question and answer session or open discussion, I may reduce the number of verses and stop early so that we can have more time for open discussion.
Certainly. Certainly.
Okay, let us wind up this.
Okay. Yes, first of all, thank you again, Bindoji, for offering these very deep, probing aspects of direct realization. Aparokshanubhuti. Jesse, it is Aparokshanubhuti. You can try.
Aparokshanubhuti. Is that right? Aparokshanubhuti.
Aparokshanubhuti, yeah.
Aparokshanubhuti. Merci.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you, Prakash.
you're welcome. You're welcome. And for all the people who attended, again, a heartfelt thank you for coming and attending this session. It is shuffled to a new time for people who are, I think Jay is coming after a while. So the times have changed. So please look up the schedule, and we have tried to make it as informative as possible with some new additions to how some rooms are postponed. So please check the schedule. But the next session is on Monday, 6:30 IST. And with that, I think over to you, Bindoji. We can close the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Jesse, for your questions. Thank you all for attending this session, and we will meet again on Monday, same time. Continue with the remaining verses. And once I complete the Aparokshanubhuti, hopefully by November middle, we will be starting Bhagavad Gita. But that will be back to the old time when I am back in India at that time. So see you all on Monday. Thank you. Hari Om. Namaste.
Namaste. Hari Om.